Hello, and welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele here with my favorite astrologer, Jyoti Wynn. And in full fashion, Jyoti, of Mercury going retrograde, this is take two.
Yes, it is take two. At least it's not take 10. Yes.
Just wait.
Yeah, anything can happen, right, with Mercury retrograde. Well, let's talk about the full moon eclipse first. And that's March 14th at 12:46 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So you'd have to adjust that for wherever you happen to be. And this lunar full moon eclipse, it has the sun in Pisces with Saturn on one side, Neptune a little bit farther away on the other side, opposing the moon. And the North Node and South Node are in this too. And so it's really asking for a balance here between your spiritual sense of things, what it's time to manifest in your life and kind of bring through and live more fully in a way that engenders trust and faith and going with the flow, while there's this moon in Virgo over here wanting to know, wanting to figure things out, wanting to see what's next. How can I schedule this? How can I plan for that? So there's this desire here or need here for bringing things into some type of balance.
Between those two things, so this embodying our beliefs and the accuracy and planning of Virgo.
Yes. Yes, and analyzing it and taking it apart, and the sun with Neptune and Saturn is saying just go with the flow. It'll all work out. Just go with the flow. But Neptune's over here in Virgo going, yeah, but I've got this timing thing and I've got this calendar and I've got this, whatever it happens to be around agenda and figuring it out and needing to know. And so that balance of, okay, we're at the end of the year, of the astrological year. We're nearing the end of it because the vernal equinox, which we'll talk about, is at 0 degrees Aries. That's the beginning of the new pagan astrological calendar year. So we're at the end of the old calendar year with this full moon lunar eclipse and saying, in a way, what have you learned this year? What have you understood this year? What have you changed in this past year?
Mm-hmm. So, Jyoti, this balance or striving for balance, I can imagine that might feel a little unsettling internally. Like there might be part of us that wants to get it on the calendar and get it planned and get the details, where part of us wants to go with the flow. And so it's about us coming to terms with that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the microcosm and the macrocosm, and the macrocosm, has its own agenda about when we know or when things are made plain to us. And but this is good practice,
Mm-hmm.
for us to be willing to just kind of, okay, I'll be mindful, I'll notice, I'll pay attention, but I don't have to be on it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Or I might pencil a few things in and give myself the flexibility to change my mind.
And a big eraser.
I think we're going to need that the next 6 months.
Probably the next couple of years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So it also is saying, how do we really establish a foundation of self, of selfhood, of self-awareness, mindfulness, so that we have that, even though we're being kind of schooled to go with the flow, we still have a sense of self. We're not just being, washed down the creek and we have a sense of ourselves, and we have a sense of how we're moving, and where we're moving to, and how things are shaping up, or opportunities that are coming to us. We're aware of that, and what we like and what we don't like, and what we'd like to see happen. And so it's cultivating that sense of personal awareness while things come willy-nilly in front of us.
Yes, I think we need a lot of that.
Yes, because I mean, it's not like the universe is still and static and not giving us opportunities. I think it is. It might just not be the opportunities that we were thinking we would be taking advantage of at this point in time.
Yeah, Jyoti, I know for myself, a lot of times I will hear a reading about a particular aspect, and I'm like, oh, right, I know what that's going to look like. And then it shows up, and it's not generally what I thought it was going to look like. That lesson comes in somewhere else where I probably need it even more.
I would agree. I would agree. I mean, sometimes we can get a direct hit on what's trying to happen, and other times it's like it kind of just needs to show itself.
Yeah.
You know, we have this Mars squaring Chiron in this full moon eclipse, and Mars is also trining Saturn and the Sun. And it's interesting to me because as I was looking ahead over, because I'm working on that second quarter of 2025, and as I'm looking at the new and full moons ahead, I notice how prominent Mars is in its aspects. And we came into this year, 2025 calendar year, with Mars retrograde. So Mars had already established itself in a sense as, I'm stepping up to the adult plate here. And I have some things I think need to happen. And so I'm going to have some say here this year. And as I look ahead over the next several months, I see how Mars kind of is establishing itself to aspect these larger transcendental heavy hitter planets out there,
Mm.
and kind of saying, okay, and what's your relationship with this? And what's your relationship with that?
That's interesting. And that ability of for Mars to do that, or being in that position to do that, how often does that come around?
Probably every couple years,
Yeah.
but maybe not in this way, because maybe it wouldn't be opposing Pluto, maybe it would be trining Pluto. Maybe it wouldn't be conjuncting, would it be conjunct? No, trining Neptune. Maybe it would be opposing Neptune,
Yeah.
or nothing,
Yeah.
or not aspecting at all. But the good news of this lunar full moon eclipse, not that there's bad news really, but Mars is trining Saturn and the Sun part of this eclipse. And so there's a lot of subtle emotional energy, like emotional intelligence, a lot of emotional energy to kind of hold space, go slow, develop patience, and yet have a feeling of forward movement.
Mm.
It might be incremental, but there's that sense of Mars trining Saturn and the Sun about how do we take personal responsibility for what's happening and where we want to go, and how do we very subtly move forward with all of that.
And this idea of incremental steps, I think, is an acquired skill, because we like to do things in these swash, just get it done, right?
Yes, flash.
But
Yeah.
there's something about moving incrementally that at my ripe age, I finally understood that gives us a lot more opportunity to pivot.
Yes. Yes. And to be flexible.
Yeah, exactly.
To be
And
flexible, because we have to, as we age, we have to have some flexibility.
right, right.
You
But
know,
if we lay out all 15 steps we're going to do, we don't take into account that after step 3, the things may change, the landscape may change, right?
There might be an aspect to the planet Uranus, and all bets are off.
There we go. Yeah.
Yes. That expect the unexpected kind of thing, you
Yeah.
know?
So I think that's a big takeaway, Jyoti. And do you think that moving incrementally, what aspect did you say influences
Well, it's Mars trine Saturn with the sun.
that? Okay.
Mars trine the sun is a big dynamic, energy that you just harness energy and go. But we're talking about water signs. Mars is in Cancer. We're talking about Saturn with the sun in Pisces. So it's, like not exactly a slow trickle, but it's water that's moving kind of slowly. It's meandering.
Mhm.
It's like bite-sizing something. But it's movement. There is movement. Yeah. So the next thing I want to look at is Mercury turning retrograde on the, oh, do I have this right here? On the 14th at, well, it's that 14th, 15th thing of, no. Yeah, late on the, so for California time, Pacific Daylight Time, Mercury will go retrograde at 11:46 p.m. For everybody east of California, the other time zones, Mercury will go retrograde on the 15th. Here in Mountain Time, it'll be 3:46 a.m. I'm sorry, 1:46 a.m. So, no, I think that's wrong. Sorry, 12:46 a.m. Mercury's already happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Look at this.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. So, and so it's giving us 3 weeks of turning within. It's in Aries. It's going to retrograde back into Pisces and then turn direct. It'll go direct on April 7th. So for these 3 weeks, roughly, we will become a bit more self-reflective, looking at, what we want to initiate, Aries, what we want to start. And as it goes back into Pisces, how do we feel about that? Is that really what we want to do? Turns direct, and then we'll carry on. But it's always a time where Mercury draws us in, and so people who have Mercury retrograde when they were born, this is like their time. This is the energy they rode in on. So they've got they've got a natural affinity for Mercury retrograde. And so I always suggest to them, have a project lined up so that you can just throw yourself in it, and you'll be fine. You won't suffer that, oh, I thought we were meeting here, but I thought we were meeting over there, that kind of miscommunication.
Yeah, and in some ways that's true for all of us, right? Trying to internalize and maybe do more work on our own during that time period rather than trying to coordinate groups or something complex.
Right. And sometimes it's inevitable that you will be part of a group or
Sure.
grouping people together, but it's also a nod to firming up your meditation or anything that takes you inside, creative work, therapy, anything like that that takes you in for those 3 weeks so that you have kind of, that inner eye, that inner attention has just more space to move.
Mhm. Nice.
And then the other thing I'd like to mention is that on March 20th, it is the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, when the sun moves to 0 degrees Aries and begins the astrological new year. And for Mountain Daylight Time, it happens at 3:01 a.m. on the 20th. And it's an interesting chart because it's the first new moon of the new year, just the new year of Aries. in the sense of the sun has just moved in. It's not a new moon. Actually, the sun and moon are trine. The moon is in Sagittarius with the sun in Aries. But the sun is conjuncting Neptune by half a degree, and Neptune is getting ready by the end of the month, which we'll talk about the next time, to enter Aries for its first time in years, years and years and years. And so there's this kind of like, what do you want to bring forward? The North Node is there, Neptune's there, the Sun is there, Venus is following, Mercury is following, the last three in Aries. And so it's a pretty congested or concentrated, not congested, but concentrated time frame of having one foot in the new and still looking at that last few minutes, last vestiges of where we've been, because when Neptune hits 0 degrees Aries at the end of March, that's a whole new time frame. Just like when Pluto moved into Aquarius,
Okay.
it heralded a new time frame, because these are the outer transcendental planets. They're not the slow movers. These are the big cookers.
So we have about 10 days in there, and it's Mercury is also still retrograde for that introspective view. And we have these 10 days to kind of look back and see how far we've come, or what
And
still
what we
needs
want to
changing,
carry forward.
and what out of that we bring with us.
Yes.
Nice. And
Yes.
how will Neptune assist us, support us to bring what we want to bring forward?
Well, one of the ways it can work is that if we are open to seeing what doesn't work. I mean, Neptune is always the fog and the mist and the illusion of things, and it likes to come along and rent the veil and show us the truth. And so if we're open to seeing the truth, this equinox time frame, and that last portion of March, it's like, if we're open to it, perhaps Neptune will gift us with that.
Seeing through the veil.
Seeing through the veil, seeing what absolutely doesn't hold water anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're so on the verge of change. We just haven't jumped in with both feet yet. You know, there's just some things that need to happen first. And so we'll get tastes of things this year, but next year, everybody that counts in those larger cycles are in fire and air and no longer in water and earth.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mars is trining Saturn in this equinox chart, and it's the chart for the next quarter of the year. And so this gives a lot of stick-to-itiveness. I mean, in a watery way, not an earth way where we're out there driving ourselves and pushing and moving, the earth. This is Mars trine Saturn in water. And so it's kind of like looking at our steadfastness, our stick-to-itiveness, and our emotional intelligence, and what are the opportunities that we can take advantage of at this point in time, because it suggests we're ready. On some level, emotionally, we're ready. And 0 degrees Aries with the sun, we're more than ready and half impatient, but we have that Mars trine Saturn. What's the goal? Okay, let's begin to put some of those pieces in place.
Nice.
And for some people, it will be bringing things from your past to serve you. Okay. For some people also, as this is the larger view, the overview of the next quarter, things may take a while to show themselves, because this is a chart from the spring equinox to the summer solstice. So it's the overview of this next quarter. And there's intelligence and language skills available here. That moon in Sag wants to see the bigger picture, wants to know where it's going, but the sun and moon are trine. There's a sense of ease and flow here, and a sense, if one can muster it, a sense of adventure.
Hmm. So, Jyoti, and this could be totally just my intuiting it, but as I'm listening to you describe this feels like a break from this intensity that we've been having, that coming into early April and for the equinox stretch, that doesn't mean we aren't processing a lot, but the density of it doesn't quite feel as strong. Am I right in picking that up?
I think that has merit, but we're also moving toward, with this forward motion of Mars moving through Cancer and going
Mhm.
back into Leo, it's going to come back to oppose Pluto
Yeah.
off and on, and it'll show up in the new moons and full moons as
Right.
we go forward through the next quarter.
Through the
Right
spring.
now, it is not. So that's a break in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's a feeling that it maybe the intensity is still there, but that it's just not so like a fire hose.
Yes.
That's, that's what really, since the first of the year, I think has felt like quite often to most of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And the word that comes to my mind, I'm not sure how I would explain it, but it's felt very intractable.
Hmm.
Like this is how it is. You have to deal with stuff, and there's not a whole lot of
Yeah,
room to move, not a lot
yeah,
of flexibility. And right now, especially around the spring equinox, which is next week, there's a little bit more room to
yeah,
move, a
yeah.
little bit
That I
more
think that's what I'm
flexibility.
feeling, Jyoti. Yeah,
Yeah, a little more flexibility. Nobody's getting nailed to the wall. It's like your back isn't against the wall right now, and so there's a couple breather times, of taking a deep breath, relaxing, reassessing, looking at where you're going, especially with where things have been over the past, since early December.
yeah.
Yeah, and maybe making different choices about how you want your life to look.
It sounds like a good quarter to review that.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Good. Anything else, Jyoti?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Jyoti, thank you so much. I know so many of our listeners are so appreciative of you shedding this light. And it's interesting how I think that increases as the world feels more and more challenging, and just how lovely it is to have a little island of sanity here with you and hearing your view on it. And also understanding that we're all in this together.
Oh yeah. And in a sense, even though it might not always look like it or feel like it, in mass as a race of humanity, we are exactly where we need to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though it's uncomfortable and it chafes sometimes, we're exactly where we need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, Jyoti, and we'll be back next with a look at the next quarter, then a more
Yes.
detailed look.
Yes.
Right.